I want to talk about Houston real quick. So this is gonna be. I'm just talk season opener stuff, right? So Houston versus OKC. I know there's been so many games that's going on so far, but I think the best use of my time right now is to talk about the home opener because we get a chance to learn and watch so much in such a short period of time. And one of my favorite things is it feels like the accumulation, it feels like an amalgamation of everything that we've been looking at and fantasizing about throughout all of the offseason. And it feels like it's really the chickens have come home to roost because there's so many moving parts, especially on these two teams, on OKC and Houston on this ring night. So let's talk about Houston real quick. Houston, the main thing that you gotta get in your head, Fred VanVleet injured. I think he tore his ACL, so they are running with the super lineup. The super size me, them big boys. Amen at the 1, Kevin Durant at the 2. If I told you in 2014 that Kevin Durant would be a shooting guard, what would you tell me? If I told you in 2014 that Kevin Durant would be a starting guard, what would you have told me? This NBA is so weird. So Kevin Durant at the 2, Jabari Smith at the 3, Sengun at the 4, and Steven Adams at the 5. And the way that they're running their team it's so interesting and it's so unique because of they have given up on all semblance of trying to have a consistent and a moving offense for the chance to have such a debilitating defensive juggernauts on that field to be able to hold the score as low as possible. So let's talk about Amen. Amen is one of I am so high on both Thompson twins because of their specific play style. Reminds me back of that super athletic wing that truly loves to go at you. They don't got no skills. They don't got no plans, but they know at the end of the game, I'm going to give them my all and I'm going to beat you. There's nothing that you can do to stop me. Kind of reminds me of, remember when Invincible was fighting Conquest and he was doing everything that he could? So he said, fuck, I'm going to start using my head and just start just banging him. That's what it felt like watching our man hoop. So he's running the 1. And they're trying to force this thing where using him as a point guard to be able to fast track his development skill wise, because of truth be told, he is a 3 at best. Slashing wing is the most sophisticated way that you could try and describe a guy like Amen Thompson and his brother. But the heavy emphasis on trying to get him to learn how to facilitate will do them so much in spades later on in the season. Because one of the things that I was taking away last year when they're in the playoffs, they were trying to have Jalen Green be their superstar. But the one constant, aside from Alperen Sengun, was the fact that Amen was there to hoop. And one of the other problems that you get, especially with like an archetype like his, he's so athletic that you're excited, you're elated anytime they shoot a 3 because of like the mechanics. They could be there, but they're not there yet, and they're so athletic that they might try and punch everything once they get into the lane. But let's talk about some other players, right? A couple of their one of the main things they should take away from their roster, they do not have shooting like that, but they are trying. So Reed Shepherd, the rookie that they picked up, I think it was last year. They picked up the rookie last year, and it's not that he struggled, it's that he's a small guard that has an emphasis on shooting when he is he's a small guard with an emphasis on shooting, but the difficulty to get the shot off. And that is a recipe for disaster, especially when you are in a league that is so obscenely fast right now. It's swayed away from the lumbering bigs to everybody has a 40-inch vertical. Everyone can run a 4.5. Everybody is super high and fast twitch. It's difficult for folks like him to get a shot off, and that's the first things that you noticed when the game was starting, because of one, they were smothering him. Two, they actively knew, okay, all you can do is shoot. So you know what? Hey, one-on-one him every time you get. So you're going to be so exhausted on the defensive end that by the time you get in on the O, are you sure that you want to go 40 feet against us? Yeah, let's please go take a breather. Let's talk about the Kevin Durant of it all. KD doesn't look like he's lost a step. And honestly, I've watched a lot of the Rockets get the 3 games so far, and it feels like he is incapable of losing a step just based off the play style that he does have, because he's a movement shooter. He plays off ball. He's able to make everybody else better, and the fact that he stays out the way, because one of the problems with a lot of NBA players, they tend to be just cloggers, and trying to use them efficiently gets difficult when everybody needs the ball to hoop and everybody is trying to get their 50, and everybody is literally everybody has the same like specific archetypes, and not even so much archetypes. Everyone has like a specific places that they like to get to, but the game has gotten so specialized that everybody's learning the game the same way. But that's the theory that I think about on my own time. But when I get more ideas, I'll bring that forth. That's a whole another conversation. But back on the game, he wasn't getting too much shots, and that's one of the weird things anytime that you see Kevin Durant, because of, I want you to shoot every shot. There's no shot that I see you take that I'm like, why would you take that shot? Because you are Kevin bleeping Durant. There's not that many 40-year-olds that is going out their way to keep the same steady production like a Kevin Durant has. Because anytime someone looks at longevity, they be talking about Steph, they be talking about Bron, but Kevin Durant has been keeping up just like the rest of them, and in most cases nearly better. But that's another conversation. That's another conversation. We're gonna have that. We're gonna have that for a different day. But as the game keeps on going, let me give a little breakdown of the OKC Thunder real quick. Well, one, SGA might be the best guard he might be the best bucket getting guard I've seen in a long time. Like it's literally Mike Kobe 2018 Harden. Mike Kobe 2018 Harden. Everybody else is, and even when I said Kobe, he running for that money. I'm not gonna lie, he give that man a run for his money. And I'm so glad this is going to be the end of all the SGA slander when it comes to the free throws, foul merch, and all that nonsense. Because of this year, he has been on a tear offensively in a way that's, it's so egregious, just like footwork wise. There was a clip that was going viral where they were seeing all the placements of his feet, and it literally looked like his feet was just horizontal. And it's like, how aren't you rolling your ankle every single time? It's like, no, that's just his balance. That's what he trains for. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. And just a quick tangent. One of the most beautiful things, especially when it comes to like exercise, I try and get myself to do more sports specific exercises, because of it. When you do sports specific exercises, you get to train so many different parts of your body that you wouldn't naturally do on your own if you weren't literally inside that sport, because there's so many specific ways where you can't just do curls and benches and squats and things of that nature and be able to train the lower back muscle, or be able to train the tendon in your left knee or something of that nature. But when you're actively working on so many different ways to move, if it's not vertical, you're moving your hips this way, you're moving your hips up and down, you're hyperextending, you're underextending, you're just doing so much. But back to the game. As you're watching these guys hoop, it feels like there's another gear for SGA to get, but it feels like he's pacing himself though. But it's weird because he dropped, I think it was like 40 It might have been like 30, might have been 35 to 40 because he had a slow start. But then in the next game against Indiana Pacers, I think he drops like 55 and the double overtime. And then next game he goes and drops, I think, another like 40, something crazy. But back to the original game. He starts off slow. Because of like I was saying with the Houston Rockets, the way that they play defense is so smothering because their guys are like huge. They had a whole bunch of 6'11" guys just running around. Jabari Smith is a really good defender. Alperen Sengun is slowly learning how to defend, and I like it. He's learned how to defend in space, and that was one of the main problems that he was having, especially in the Warriors series, because of the amount of times that they put him in pick and roll actions, or at least like forced him to like sprint left to right and things of that nature. It's really easy to take advantage of players like that, but it feels like he's learning how to be able to stay grounded and being able to rotate in an efficient manner that he couldn't before. But next, as we talk hoops, right? As we're talking hoops, it feels like the officiating is really soft right now because of the amount of fouls that actually, let me not say soft. It feels like there's a new meta on how they're going to be calling a lot of the fouls because they fouled out what's his face? They fouled out Lou Dort. And that's something that I've been like really interested in looking out on how they're able to decipher what is going on, especially with him, because if you ever watch him play, you realize that he be fouling, he be hurting you, he be playing rugby out there, but that's another conversation. And they were like actively calling it, but when you switch to other games, they tend to not really call too many handsy plays like that. Actually, that's not even true. I've been seeing so many free throws because I've been seeing so many 50-point games. So I don't know if that's a combination of the scoring is just getting out of hand, or the fact that they're calling too much. That's a conversation for another day. I feel like the OKC Thunder might hit a roadblock pretty quickly, especially if their other guys aren't going to be able to grow in the absence of Jalen Williams. Because Jalen Williams, I think he hurt his shoulder or knee or whatever. But so he had to sit out. But when you have a super powered roster like that with a bunch of young, springy, athletic guys, you're able to plug and play. You're able to have them push the pace. You're able to set such a tone that it's difficult for people to be able to get their offenses rolling. This was a pretty low scoring game for the first like 3 quarters. Oh, especially for a guy like SGA, I think they held him to like 12 up until the 4th, and then he just gets to open. He goes like, I think he scores. I think he ends up scoring like 12 at the 4th. Pushes it to overtime, scores 5 on OT, and then they push to one more overtime. He hits his free throws and then puts the game away. Great game. And then the second game, I want to talk about Steph, the Warriors versus the Lakers. It was interesting. It was very interesting. Specifically for a couple of reasons. My main ones being watching this new look Luka feels so reminiscent of watching a great really take another step, because of one of my main problems is Luka has this problem of not being able to keep up the output of offensive energy all throughout the 4 quarters. Or at least 4 quarters consistently for multiple games. I know the season just started, but he's been on a crazy tear as well. Luka's offense is just through the roof because it feels like he knows exactly where to get to, and he's physically fit enough to get anywhere that he wants to. And I don't know. I don't want to be the guy that says, oh no, the physical discipline that he's been putting on all over the offseason is the reason why he's able to score like this, and his offensive output is only because he lost weight because he was a fatty big fattikins, because that would be super disingenuous, because Luka has been a bucket. Luka could be 325 pounds. He could weigh as much as Embiid, and I promise you, he will still average 30 points a game, and that is a fact. Just based off the way that he's been playing recently, I want to figure out, will he be able to set some of that offensive energy aside to pay attention on the defensive end, because calling him a cone is too gracious. It's more so, it feels like one of those additives where if it feels like one of those situations where an offensive player, since they're taxed with so much on that side of the ball, they forget about everything else. If it's not defense, if it's not transition, if it's not off-ball cutting, if it's not being a decoy, they just do not care about none of that, because they know at the end of the day they're going to be forced to put up 35 to 45 points every single game. And I feel like it's a double-edged sword, because it's double-edged sword, because I cannot say that Luka did not have a great game, at least offensively, because of he was getting everywhere that he wanted to. He was able to set his teammates up. He was able to be a consistent initiator. He was able to put pressure on I was about to say just the rim, but on all three levels of scoring. He's able to put consistent pressure. But not only that, he's been able to run so many different actions. But here is the backside. Here's the main problem. Front offices tend to do this thing where if they have the guy on their team, they just will not care about anything else that has to do with that team. They will skimp. Their biggest offseason acquisition was a DeAndre Ayton. At this place, I would rather have DeAndre Hunter than DeAndre Ayton, because of this DeAndre Ayton experience is going to be very difficult to watch, because you know what type of skill that he has. You know that he's able to seal. You know that he's able to dunk. You know that he's able to be such an aggressive rebounding talent, but he just will not do it. There's so many plays that game where I was like, wait, why are you trying to use finesse when force is the best case scenario? You have the tools to overpower smaller players consistently and frequently, and the fact that you're choosing to use more of a finesse game is very worrisome when the players that you have on your team, they need that extra oomph. They need that consistent rim runner to be able to give Luka that outlet valve. They need a guy like that to take the defensive pressure off a guy like LeBron. And here's where the next problem that I come with this Lakers team, because of it feels like they're setting up LeBron to be the best defensive wing that they have, and that is so frustrating, because I think he's like 41 now. LeBron's like he's an older man, bro. He doesn't have that spring to the step that he once had, even 3 years ago. That wasn't 3 years. That was 5 years ago when he last won a ring. Yeesh, that's crazy. But a lot of their players, if the ball is not on Luka's hand or Austin Rivers' hand, it's just let that man do whatever they want. Gabe, what? Yeah, go ahead and pack it up. I do not care. Let that fly. Because what's that going to do for me? What is that going to do to me? You don't have the capabilities, or at least I do not trust it. And not even talking about Dalton Connect. Dalton Connect is not even on the court anymore. What did he do? They're treating him like he's Bronny. He doesn't see the court. And I'm looking at him, I think to myself, how are we supposed to turn this season around? And I'm not trying to do on the whole doomer, this season is lost twist, because no, I believe that they could make the push to try and get to that play-in spot. It's not a dead season just yet, but I want to know, what is the plan, Reddit? Reddick? LOL, I called him Reddit, LOL. But what is the plan to be able to get some offensive motion going onto this team? Because they feel dead in the water feels like such an exaggerated phrase. But just watching the way that the Warriors were able to dissect them was very worrisome, because of you will see teams like that in the future. If you want to make a real push, if you want to make a real playoff run, you actually have to see a team like that. All roads. Because if you think this is bad, I couldn't imagine what the Nuggets would do to y'all now. Let me just talk. I'm talking about the Warriors, and then I'm going to get out of here. Okay. First, The fact that Steph was not having a good game this season opener and they were still able to do Steph like things, I love the way that they coach. It feels so organic. It feels so consistent. The way that they're able to send so many decoys and be able to put so much movement. I'm looking at Draymond Green. It's really hard to hate Draymond Green because of the effort that he puts in, even as a 30, I think 36 or 38, where he's still on point with rotations. He's still mapping out the floor in a way that there's not too many players in the league that can match. The fact that he's still guarding 1 through 5, they're still able to run small ball out of a 36-year-old. It's weird. It's weird. There's a place specifically, where Gary Payton, first of all, when did Gary Payton get back? That's a whole other conversation. Where Gary Payton, he like fakes and then he backdoors. I love when I see players doing great off work. Bro, you're doing great off ball work because you're backdooring folks to get the dunk and then get a vigorous yammer. Well, that's beautiful. And I feel like that's an amalgamation of these two teams where you have a whole bunch of role players that are going above and beyond to be able to make this season work. And the fact that they're superstars because of Jimmy Butler, I don't know what it is. It doesn't feel... I feel like people always forget that Jimmy is on the court because of he seems to be able to blend in to the flow of the game that you forget that he has 38 and 5 consistently. I don't know if it's just like the fact that it's the first game of the season or the fact that the Lakers were bad, but they were able to show off so many different looks so quickly. And now let's talk about Jonathan Kuminga. So he went and signed. He's happy. He's hitting threes. He's athletic. But I definitely see one of the reasons why the Warriors were like, bro, I do not want you on this team. Because sometimes you just watch Kuminga and you can see it in his eyes where he's like, oh, I can score on you. There's nothing that you can do to stop me from scoring on you. So you know what that means? I'm taking that shot no matter what. When you're supposed to do the pass thing, and he'll look you in the eye and say, nah, my brother, I got something a lot better. Tween cross, baseline, yamadam. There ain't nothing you can do about it. And I love watching players like that because you know that the coaches truly hates their guts because of you go tell them a play to run, but it's like, but he's 6'2", I'm 6'9". What we talking about? What we really talking about?